what's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Spencer Israel, Kenny Glick from Hit the Bid. Kenny, it is earnings season. The market is moving. There are headlines. The VIX is spiking and then going back down again, and everything's going on. You are busy, busier than you've ever been, would you say?
Yeah, actually, I actually am busier. I think I haven't sat at the desk all day this long for this many days in a row in a very long time. Yeah, riveting, baby, riveting.
Well, I have good news for you. There's no end in sight.
I know.
So, so get used to it. Here's what we wanted to do. Kenny went live last week, and we're going to go live again. We're obviously going live again today. Really just to review what Kenny's been doing. We're going to talk about VWAP, how he uses it. And I thought maybe this time, Kenny, we would just start by bringing up your charts right off the bat. You've got SOFI up right now. Why don't you
Right
just
on.
talk to us about sort of what happened today? Today was a pretty good litmus test, for example. So let's just talk through today and sort of what you saw, what you did, what you didn't do, and what you learned.
Sure. We're always in the hottest stocks of the day. So whatever's in the news, we're participating because more volume, more better because it makes the trade work. So we trade volume weighted average price exclusively. So let me just get rid of some of these lines if you're looking at the chart already. The red lines are where I draw my own pivot points, but look how crisp and clean that is. There's nothing on there. There's an orange line and a blue line. So blue line is your VWAP and orange line is prior day VWAP. But before we get started, so basically when the market's not an earnings season, we're glued to the QQQ. I trade a lot of volatility products, UVXY, UVIX, and that kind of gives you a heads up of market direction also. And obviously throughout that monstrous volatility, we were right on those trades. I mean, even on the Trump psycho move, the 30-point candle, no, we didn't buy the low and sell the high, but we were right smack dab in the middle because it's always the same trade. And I'll show it to you on the SOFI trade. And you're looking at it right here. So what I like to look at is when a stock reports earnings, you're getting the most volume of the day and basically of its life. So if 3 months could go by on earnings day, you're getting more volume. So you're getting what? More volume, more better, and you're getting more volatility, which leads to opportunity. That's why the volatility that we witnessed, from the tariff news was fantastic. I mean, I don't think we've ever navigated a market more precisely than during that moment. And yeah, I mean, I hope more of that happens. But right now, if you haven't been watching, this market is back in a big way. Our earnings season. One thing about earnings season as a proving ground is that when companies report earnings that are not good, like Tesla, and the stock found prior day VWAP. We were doing that live with JC that day. That was it. That was if you were debating whether or not the bull market was back or if it ever left in the first place, that moment right there, because the difference when Nike and FedEx.
You want to show us? Why don't you show us on the chart real fast, and then we'll go
Sure,
back.
yeah.
We'll go back to SoFi.
It's kind of hard to find that day, but let me see. So 10 days ago on Tesla, right there. So it dipped and see that orange line? The orange line's there. So that's what's so fantastic about the way we trade. It's basically one line, two lines. So prior day VWAP, if you want to use the word anchor, you can, but it's just specifically grabbing the data from the prior day, because what I've learned by doing this for the last 12 years is that that's all you really need. So you're focused on what happened today or yesterday, and then focus on what's happening today. And when they pull back and they hold prior day VWAP as it did the day before, that's the earnings day. And then the confirmation was the next day where they tried to sell it off, otherwise known as the dip and rip or the faux show bro. So the stock breaks a low, breaks a new low, but then there's our orange line saying, nah, not so fast. We ain't going any lower. Breaks back above the VWAP, and then you're ripping. Fake out, shake out, breakout. And that's why we've been super, super bullish the Tesla, even up to today. Let's fast forward to today. Look at this noise, all this noise today. And let me get rid of those red lines and to clear it up for you. Red lines were just trades that we put on. Now we're
That,
clear.
that was all. That was all today.
That was all today.
Oh
So
man.
again, you see it's very subtle, but today you had the big candle down at the beginning of the day. ripped higher, missed this move completely, but then it came back to not just test that low, but broke it very subtly, but then came right back. That's the fake out, shake out, and then back above the VWAP, you're a buyer, and those prices from where they faux and showed are your outs if you're wrong. But in this case, it just jiggled and shuffled along and then ripped into the close. Ripping into the close is a bull market. So when stocks basically chop around all day, but resolve themselves to rip into the end of the day, bull market's back, baby. And it's been better than ever.
Why does VWAP work, or VWAP, sorry. Why does it work the way it does?
Well, the way I look at it right now, and the first explanation to me is still my favorite explanation. So assuming that Spencer works for Glick Incorporated, as miserable as a job as that might be, you are tasked to buy an amount of shares. And at the end of the day, the idea was that you need to beat the VWAP. So even 20,000 shares, 100,000 shares of Tesla, your average price, the trader that's accumulating for the day, you better be beating the 285 and a quarter by the end of the day. So the trader,
when you say beating,
your average price of your accumulation of your stock,
your average price should be below it.
You should be below it. That's when it makes you a good trader, and that's when you get your bonus. So when a stock is, you get tasked at 8 o'clock in the morning, like, okay, I got a job. So below the VWAP, you're thinking, all right, I could buy it slowly. But as it gets above the VWAP, you need to start buying more because you have to beat that price at the end of the day. So as it's chopping around, you're starting to buy more. Then it starts to accelerate away from the VWAP. You got to buy more. And also, what I'm describing is also done with algorithms and auto trading. So the traders set the orders. Okay, we got to buy this. If it gets over this price, start buying more. And we're just following the money. So one of the most vital lessons I learned as a shorter, as I guess I could call myself a perma bear. I don't really own stocks too often. But what I learned is that when stocks are down and they break back above the VWAP, you don't want to be short anymore. And it was a very hard lesson for me to learn. And that trade, as a long biased trader right now, and this market's been ripping, if you've just been staying long biased, looking for that specific setup, you're not going to find a simpler trade. So let's go back to that SOFI, right? So company reports earnings, right?
So AKA there's a lot of volume this morning.
Right. There's that crazy candle. So again, there's the report, knee-jerk reaction, knee-jerk reaction. And in this knee-jerk reaction, bang and boom, you got the faux, you got your show. Now you're back above the VWAP. And again, if you're up at 7 o'clock in the morning like we are and you're ready to trade, let's go. Now, in this case, I just rolled out of bed. I missed the first entry. But once you're above the VWAP and you start breaking prior highs, that's when momentum kicks in. So VWAP's giving you, hey, listen, you're right. You missed the perfect entry, but it's still good enough to buy. And these prices are your stops if you're wrong. So everything about trading, what is it? Why am I buying it? Where do I think it's going? And what am I going to do when I'm wrong? That's it. That's what VWAP's giving you. So price, your entry, where you have to admit defeat, and where you think the stock is going is basically back to old levels from where the stock came. So in this case, beautiful long trade. This is where I was buying. You got paid. It came back to test that same exact price, and then it made another move. Now, as you come into the day, our default is to normally do what? You've walked in, SOFI's already up. So the VWAP trader says one thing: when do I short it? Because we play the reversion now. So the long traders already made their money. You've tested VWAP and held. And again, when you open the market at 9:30, all hell breaks loose. Sometimes that candle goes right back to the low of the day. Sometimes it rips higher. So if you just wait a couple of minutes, and let me just show it to you now on the 1 minute. So let's go back to the 1 minute. Now we're just focused on what happened today. So you came in and you said, oh, that SOFI is looking pretty good. Great. You should be looking to short it. Now, when do you short it? VWAP break. So look, you held the VWAP. The first VWAP break was right here, 1420. How do you define your risk? The high of the day, 1450. So 30 cents of risk. The orange line's telling you where the stock will probably revert to. So you got the why I'm buying it, where do you admit you're wrong, and where the stock's probably going. Bang, bang. There you go. 1420 entry, 30 cent risk. Your goal is to get to 1350, and bang, Took a little bit of a road, a little bit longer road to get there, but there you do. And there you have it, and kind of made a home there for quite some time. And then after that, pretty much the trade was over, but nice trade. And while that was happening, we also had our friend PayPal along the same lines. Again, let me get rid of the red lines because that's where we traded it, right? This was one of my faves because knee-jerk reaction up, got smacked down, chopping around.
So
Yep.
you have to wait a little bit for it to shake out, right? I mean, you're not trading with the
Yeah.
algos here instantaneously, off the
Right.
number. So at this point, I'm assuming it's probably around 8:30 in the morning, right? This is this morning, right? So,
Perfect. Actually,
um,
at 8:30. Yeah.
right.
What was
So
nice, what was nice about this one was that it was the first VWAP break. So you're under the VWAP the whole time, and you're just kind of sitting there, just, again, like a stalker or a hunter. We don't have to speculate. We're more reactionary traders when you're using VWAP. So I'm waiting for that proper price. And again, you see how it's coming out of that bottom range, coinciding with the VWAP break. I'm in. And again, why am I buying it? Earnings report, VWAP break, or I believe this was just regular news. I actually didn't even check the news. I know there was a volatility. I thought it was based on SOFI. I'm pretty sure they did report, but they had some.
yeah, I think they had earnings.
Yeah. So here it is. There's the VWAP break. So if you're buying here on the VWAP break at 63.70, the bottom of the ranges are your outs. So basically, $63 stock, you're risking about $1.50. Your first target is the orange line. And then what I have found after doing this for 12 years, if you get through today's VWAP, prior day VWAP, you tend to go higher. And there we went. So right there, pre-market. And again, these are not monster trades. You don't need $600,000 to do this trade. For this trade, I was in 300 shares, 63.75. I'm selling 100 right here for a quick hundy, and then another dollar up. And then here, I'm selling the other 100, and I've got 100 left. And I said, all right, if it breaks back below prior day VWAP, I'll dump it. And look, in that red candle, nobody was feeling good about this trade because that candle gave up $1.20, but it never broke down. And that's where that separates the great trader from the good trader to the trader that's just getting chopped up. That normally would chop you out. But look, it tested it, and we held the whole time. And then finally, as it approaches the open, I don't like being in any positions at the open because, like I said, you're generally guessing what's going to happen at the open. So it did us a nice favor by getting back to the highs. We're selling up there. And then coincidentally, it did roll over again. But now look what it did. And I'm not going to pretend I didn't take this trade, the short right there on the VWAP break. But you see what it did do, my friends? There's the faux, there's the show, and there's a VWAP breakout. So it broke the low subtly, came right back. That's your moment. Fake out, shake out, faux, show. Back above the VWAP. We're buying PayPal again at 65.20 with relatively just, a little bit less risk than down here. When you see a lot of people say, oh my God, it was at 62. I'm risking 3 points in the trade. No, you're not. You're risking your new definition of risk. If you're buying here at 65.30, you're just looking at that 75 cent of risk, and you're hoping that it retraces back to the high of the day. And again, we got paid, and I was hoping for a lot more, but it was decent. And again, that's all you're trying to do. This is a way to trade and stay consistent, stay where you have risk reward in your favor on every trade. You're never risking more than you're expecting to make. And that's a great place to be.
And then as a general rule, you're selling in whole dollar increments, right? So in this case,
in this case, yeah, depending on the stock. But, in certain circumstances, I'm an old school trader. If you guys remember eighths, quarters, 3/8, half, when you're trading stocks like a Hertz, you're not expecting to make 2 points. And again, Hertz, we flipped the script on this one because, they put out some news. This thing looked like it was about to have an imminent breakout coming out of this bottoming pattern. Look where it hit. It hit that 3-year VWAP. And then coincidentally, they had some negative news talking about restructuring debt or whatever. The market took it as a negative. So I looked at it as a negative as well because the market tells me what to do. And today it confirmed that negativity by giving up the prior day VWAP, going under the 1 minute, and then breaking down. Now take a look at this. When there's no VWAP to be had, all you're doing is you're going back to prior price. So now what I just did, and let me get rid of the red lines because those are the trades we had.
This is a 5-day, 5-minute.
Yeah, now you're looking at 10 days worth of VWAP. So the whole picture of all this craziness that you've had from the first news that got it started from $3 up to 9, and it's spitting out the idea that this thing should retrace to at least 750. That's 10 days worth of VWAP. And just to get a bigger picture, I went to look at 15 days worth of VWAP, and look where the stock wound up going, to the penny. And that's where they found some buyers. And again, all algorithmic. And the script that we give you when you join the room does this all for you. There will be no math on the quiz, my friends. I did not do well in math in school. If it wasn't for my dad, I probably wouldn't have made it through high school. There is no math on this quiz. It's doing it for you. So when you say, how did you know it was going to go there? You don't know anything, but the VWAP is telling you that without a lack of buyers, it's going to gravitate or revert back to the most important area, which is that prior day VWAP. So another
because
wonderful right there.
The way that the institutions use VWAP, as you described it earlier, it basically is showing you the smart money. It's showing you the gauge by which the smart money is measured intraday, right?
You got
it.
it.
They all want to the institutions all want to get in or out without moving the price too much and above or below the VWAP for that day, right? So it really is showing you the smart money throughout the day. A couple questions in the chat, Kenny. First,
talk to me.
Most of what you're showing here are 1-minute charts. Do you use any of the time frames for your trading and your analysis, or really the question is more about VWAP? Is your VWAP indicator as useful for other time frames? And I think you just brought up a daily a few minutes ago, or even a 5-minute. So I guess the answer would be yes.
Yeah, I love when I say this. It transcends all time and space. The 1 minute remains the same. And then I look at different time frames. I like 1-minute charts, but then when you have those days, like the last couple of days, you want to clean it up a little bit. I'll use a 5-minute chart, so 5-minute candles, but the VWAP, the blue line will stay today's VWAP. That's usually on a tick. That's almost like a 1-minute tick. And then the more data you grab, it's giving you that VWAP over that allotted amount of time. Usually I'm living 1 minute through 5 days. For instance, here, I'll give you another one. So you guys knew that HIMS had some big news today.
They were up 35% this morning.
Right. So all these lines where we were shorting the stock from today, did a lot of trading in this stock. I'm a hater. I hate this stock. I think it's going to zero. I think it's a scam. That's just my opinion. But what I love about VWAP is when it confirms my idea. So monster move. I wasn't involved in any of this. I wasn't involved in that part. But then what I decided was that when I saw it double top right there, tried to get through here, tried to get through there, and then there's the opening VWAP break. I'm in. I'm short right there, 37.50, using these top candles as my out, and this candle right there, clearly defining my risk. Again, I'm not letting it go back up to highs because I got a very specific thing that happened there. Now watch this. Somebody was wondering about different chart time frames, right? So first I'm looking at the 1 minute, 1 day. Boom, blue line, inevitably. And again, when you're with me, as these moves are happening, I'm in there with you. So as it starts to squeeze, and I said, all right, nobody panic unless it goes over the VWAP. Didn't break it. Starts to roll. Then we get what I thought might be the end of the trade. It looked like a faux show, but you never broke over the VWAP. So we held it. And again, we covered some on the way down. And that's why it's lovely the way we trade. We take something off the table. So when the chop starts, at least you've taken something as a profit. And now you can let it breathe without you being all freaked out about not taking anything. So you take something off the table, then the chop begins, where our goal was to see it get down to this price. And we withstood some of this, this chop. And then it rolled over, and then we wound up getting out here. And let me show you this trade where I almost got annihilated. So I got a little, I was like, ooh, I think I'm going to be onto something here. Right here, and again, if you were with me live, and this is a really important thing because I'm there live with you pretty much all day recently because there's so much going on. You see where it broke that low? Oh, sorry, it broke back below the prior day VWAP. I started shorting it again down here. So I was thinking, all right, this time it's going to roll over. And I started looking at 2 days worth of VWAP. And I was like, ooh, if we break 2 days worth of VWAP, we're probably going to crater. But it held. And 3 minutes into this trade, I said, hey, I think we're wrong. Let's get the hell out of this thing before it rips up in our face. Taking that small loss right here, and again, I had 1,000 shares there. So taking that $200 hit, that could have been a $3,000 hit if I didn't respect the VWAP and understand, hey, this one's not working. It's okay to be wrong. You just don't stay wrong. And again, if I was savvy enough and I didn't hate the stock so much, I probably should have bought it because it held prior day VWAP. And there's the trade that I love so much. And I just ignored it. But I was very happy that I covered the short for a small loss, which could have been a really big loss. It's a big part of trading.
And if you're watching, it's not as if it's not as if the VWAPs act as a magnet every single time. But the point is that they act as a magnet a lot of the times.
Right.
And also, they give you your very obvious out to know when you're wrong. Right.
Right.
So it's simultaneously a buy signal and a sell signal.
Right. And again, to your point, even if you have a trade that works 55% of the time, you should come out ahead. But you got to remember when the one that doesn't work. So let's say you have a trade that works 90% of the time. And that's, again, that'd be a crazy track record and that'd be awesome, right? And this does work.
That'd be insane, Kenny. Nobody has that.
Right. But even if you had something that works 90% of the time, and this lately has been doing 90%, that 10% loss can still ruin everything. Because if you're doing, let's say again, I'll just show you another one, GM. It was a winner, right? You got our 1 minute. There's our faux show, bro. Blue line, orange line, got paid, but you had to get out, right? So it became a loser if you didn't take the money. But again, this one was still a winner. There's going to be a trade that doesn't work. That one loss, if you don't get out of the trade, you could be at 90%, but if you let that 10%, the 10% losers destroy you like that HIMS could have, you're still going to come out a loser. So you still have to be a trader and have to address it. But VWAP is telling you, it's as if there's a bullhorn guy standing above you. What are you doing? You're supposed to get out of this one. Get out now. It's a drill sergeant. He's there for you, Private Pile. He's there for you. He's yelling at you. He's going to beat you. And if you ignore it, and if you don't follow the rules, yeah, you still might come out as a loser. But here's a trade that works really well, and it's so simple to understand and follow the rules that you'd be insane not to follow the rules at this point. And they just continue to work. They continue to work. And these trades just find you. Like, who trades waste management? Nobody does. We did today.
Nobody trades.
Nobody trades this stock. But look how lovely. And I screwed this trade up too today because, I missed the first move. I missed the second move. So then during this, this little chop area, I decided to get long. And then it broke down and I lost my risk tolerance because normally I give it to the pivots and I give it to the VWAP. And I was like, you know what? I just got in this late. I ain't getting chopped up. I took a small loss right there. And then 20 minutes later, it said, hey, Kenny, you were right about it the first time. Why don't you get back in? So I addressed my mistake over here. I got back in, limited my risk, and the stock wound up going up to 2 points that I was hoping for. Beautiful trade. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. So, and again, that was a Waste Management, PayPal, HIMS, and of course the QQQ. Again, it's really great on indices, right? Indexes or indices. Prior day VWAP, there's the original faux show, bro. Got paid on this one. A lot of chop, but these chops, this is navigatable chop. And there's my favorite setup, the fake out, shake out, breakout. And we participated in this move. And if you guys are just trading options, as some of our guys in the room are, or guys and gals, somebody was looking at the 472. So we trade at the money options. And the reason we do is that
sometimes you go straight for the stock or the whatever.
Yeah, I love trading the stock first.
Right.
But now that you have these daily options, you can trade a $400 stock in lieu of that stock. So I go right at the money, ignore the orange line. Actually, I'll clean it up all for you. Here you go. I'm going to get rid of this. It's just theoretical value if you guys know about that, So there it is. You see, it's the same chart. Fake out, shake out. And instead of laying out, again, I usually do 300-400 shares of the Qs. Here you're buying, let's say 10 contracts at $2. $2 turned into $450. So that's a $2,000 trade turning into $4,500. It's a lot better. So once you get familiar with this trade And because we trade real stocks, these are not, dog shit penny stock things that don't have options and just weird names. We can trade those too, but these are where you focus during earnings season. That's why I love earnings season so much. So instead of trading, PayPal, you can go right at the money, and we're basically trading weekly at the money calls. That's why I love this QQQ right now, because they're ripping 5-10 points almost every day, up and down, and you get to trade them with these daily options for pennies on the dollar. Just good time. It's a good time to be a trader.
I hope that answers the question in the chat about from Big LA about trading the Qs or the UVXY. They don't have earnings gaps, right? But just because they don't have earnings gaps doesn't mean that you can't trade them with VWAP, right? It's
Right.
really
There's
the
gaps in the Qs all the time. But I mean, we're getting less and less the classic gap where we're just gapping up because there is 24-hour trading, but you're still getting these dips and the rips, which is good enough. You're not getting the gap fill because there truly isn't a gap to fill anymore, but you're still getting amazing amounts.
There's not much volume there overnight.
Right. There's so little volume that
Yeah.
it sort of is, right.
Question from Jules. Does Kenny use the standard anchored VWAP or is this proprietary? This is a proprietary script that Kenny wrote, I guess years ago, right, Kenny? And this is your custom tool that you have and the people in your room have, right?
Yes. Well, we got our heads up from the VWAP Emperor, and we then reversed engineered it. Yeah. So it's basically ours from the last 12 to 13 years.
There are a couple of things that Kenny has said on the stream. He has said 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. He said faux show, bro. You may have said Andy Dufresne. I'm not sure. These are all references to common trades that Kenny takes, basic or patterns that he sees and takes and trades all the time. If you're in the room, you get the lingo.
I'll show you an Andy Dufresne. You want to see an Andy Dufresne right here?
And so before you get to that, here's the reference. It's a reference to a person, or in this case, a stock, crawling through a river of crap, only to break out and be free.
Exactly, right? Andy Dufresne, right? So, and in this case, this was one of those crappy stocks, but I had my eye on it because the scanner told us to keep an eye on it, and it died, and again, but it didn't completely die. So that sideways action that's in a range is your Andy Dufresne crawling through that, that pipe trying to free itself. And again, once it fakes you out and faux show right there. So Andy, faux show. So you're a buyer right there when it came back above that level. And here, I'll admit, I was expecting a lot more from this thing because I was basically under the VWAP the whole time, Andy Dufresne. They tried to shake you out, and they came right back. That was our cue to buy it. And again, not a bad trade. It's a 10% move on a $3 stock. It's not bad. But then you broke VWAP. And here I'm thinking, all right, let's rip back to this price. I thought we were easily going to get 320. And then a lot of times when these stocks wake up later in the day, they rip back to where they came from. A little disappointing, but hey, listen, we profited on the trade, so not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. So this is all from mostly this was from today. This is just today.
Yeah,
I just want to clarify, Kenny, you're not doing 15, 20 trades in 20 different stocks a day. What you're trying to do, correct me if I'm wrong, is you're trying to find like 4 or 5 good, meaty, juicy setups and maybe hit those each 3 or 4 times, right?
You got it. Right. I know exactly what I'm going to be trading tomorrow already. SMCI, right? Here you go. SMCI getting hammered, right? So again, this hammering is going to set up the chart patterns because I am also the universe's greatest pattern recognition trader. Also a VWAPian, if you don't know our lingo, some more of our lingo. So when I see a stock getting smoked, I'm assuming they just released earnings. See, I don't even know. I look at the news afterwards. Here you go. Earnings, guidance is down, blah, 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 right? Immediately thinking, when do I buy the stock? So this chart pattern will start to emerge as the day goes over. And again, like I said, I'm glued to this seat. Lately it's been 7 a.m. to about 8 p.m. I'm not moving. My wife's very angry because I'm usually cooking also for cooking and, taking care of some houseware, empty nesting and all that and all blah, blah, blah. But right now, I am just riveted by what I'm watching on a daily basis. So tomorrow, I wait for to see what happens here. The chart pattern will show up. Today's VWAP will become tomorrow's multi-day. The blue line will start to reform tomorrow morning. So we revisit, but I watch how the chart pattern sets up tonight. And again, I'll be looking at this, obviously, and Snap. Snap reported earnings, getting hammered, right? Knee-jerk reaction up, suckered people in. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal to the downside. And again, if I was watching this, I might actually put a short on because this was blatant 1 minute multi-day VWAP breakdown. And that would have been a 888 entry, risking 20 cents, and stock already plummeted a $1.25. So again, and then what I do every morning is we readdress what we're doing tonight, tomorrow morning, and then I give you a new list of stocks, the ones that I've deemed worthy of our attention. And it's just because I've been doing this my whole life. I know which stocks move best, and I know which ones obey the VWAP the best.
And that's the beautiful thing. We didn't even mention the fact that usually you're done by, like, you're really done trading by like 11 o'clock, right? It's not as if you're right now you're at your desk all day because you can't pull yourself away. Not because you have to be there.
Right.
You're usually done in like a couple hours, and you can go about your day. I know you're a big pickleball guy. You like doing that, whatever it is you got to do, right? So usually you're 8 a.m., 7:30, you're there. 11 a.m. rolls around, you're done, right?
You got it. Price is Right coming on, right? Bob Barker. Well, not Bob Barker anymore, but yeah. I would love to be done before the Showcase Showdown. So that was around 11:50, watching the spin the wheel. Yeah.
And the other thing here, and I'll take your screen off now, Kenny, is we're in earnings season, so there's overnight volatility basically every day, right? There's no opportunities, but earnings season comes and goes. I mean, these days it seems like it's taking longer and longer. It used to feel like it used to last a few weeks. Now it lasts like at least a month or more. But even when it's not earnings season, you're still able to use this strategy because, like you said, you got the Qs, you got the UVXY, and even if there's not earnings, there's always overnight gaps up, gap down, and you trade those gaps, right? So there's never not going to be overnight gaps in stocks, especially now with a trade war or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, and if you are, again, if you've been watching futures, it's I'm not gonna say better because I love earnings season because you get that those gaps and that monster of activity. But if you trade futures, try it with VWAP, try it with prior day VWAP. It is absolutely going to change the way you look at the market. If you've never used VWAP, do it tonight. Don't take my word for it. You will be just as amazed as look at my face. It's going on like 13 years. I'm still shocked that this is working so well. And that's why I'm so excited when I bring new people on. Hey, is it working futures? Oh, it works in futures. And it even works. I don't trade crypto. I'm an owner, but I never trade crypto. I heard it works in crypto too. Can't attest to that. But futures, phenomenal. Because what is the futures? It's just leveraged versions of the SPY and the QQQ. Awesome.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I want to show people first and foremost what they will see if you go to hitthebid.com right now. Kenny has a monthly, a quarterly, and an annual offer. That's what you'll see right there. But if you're watching this stream today, if you're watching a replay like in a week from now, I can't really help you. You'll have to call in. But if you're watching this right now, whether it's on our site or on YouTube, bam, right there. 10% off a monthly, 10% off a quarterly, 15% off an annual. How do you get that, you ask? Oh, great question. I'm glad you asked. There is a link that I am dropping in the chat. It is also in the description. If you're watching us on our site, just scroll down. All you got to do is scroll down. The checkout is right there. The link is in the chat. The link is in the description. You join Kenny's room. By the way, we didn't even mention this, Kenny. Everybody who joins gets a 14-day risk-free offer. So they get in the room. They have 14 days to decide, is it for me or is it not for me? And this is like a personal challenge to you.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I love when I have new people in the room. I feel bent on trying to, impress them. So, I mean, every day turns out to be the same day because we basically know what we're doing. But yeah, come on in, man. You'll know within 14 days whether or not this VWAP trade works for you. And
So
seeing it in action, like I said, we do it live. We do it live, like whatever that guy's video
Bill
was.
O'Reilly, they do it live.
We
They
do
do
it
it live
live.
every morning. You get Kenny's watch list, like he said. You get in the room. You get the chat, which is going 24/7. You get you actually get his VWAP. I should mention that you get his script. So not only can you see Kenny's screen, but you can actually have your charts look like Kenny's charts, right? He will give you his script. He used to sell that just by itself, and now he just gives it to the people in his room. So you get all of that, the watch list, the VWAP script, the access to the room, the chat, all of that in the room. Hitthebid.com. Any questions in the chat, please drop them in now before we hop off. But that's the deal, right? So
And
Kenny
one
likes to
more
do,
thing,
yeah.
something else we used to charge for, what I want to invite everybody to right now, the Thursday night schmooze.
Mm.
So, when earnings season started, not sorry, when weekly options started, it was just our new favorite toy. Being able to trade Apple or Amazon, a lot of these tech companies, and they're doing it this Thursday. They report on Thursday night, and then you got to trade options that are expiring. Now it's zero date options are everywhere. Weekly options is standard. But what we used to do is we used to gather on Thursday night, had a couple of cocktails, and we started drinking a lot more during COVID, my dog, and we're still doing the show. So if anybody wants to come hang out, we could drop the link. It's free. Don't worry about it. We do it in a different room. We call it the Schmooz room. If you like the Grateful Dead, we play music from about 6 to 8, and then I come on. We do a little schmoozing from about 8 to 10. I like doing it at 8 o'clock because that's when we see all the final tallies of what the stock did, and then we start talking about it. We plan our attack for Friday, and Fridays we generally just trade options because now we're trading those stocks. We're trading those options that expire that day. Instead of having to lay out $210 for an Apple, you're buying an option for $1 or $2, same trade, better result. So if you guys are interested, we'll drop the link in the room
All right.
Thursday.
What I did was I put Kenny's email in there. If you just email Kenny at hitthebid.tv, just say schmooze or something, and he'll send you the link to the schmooze tomorrow night. Real fast before we go, question in the chat: what time does the bulk of the trading occur? Well, the beautiful thing is that the room is open all day. So, Kenny, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, the bulk of your trading is in that 8:30 to 10:30 window, right?
Yeah, lately I've been getting up a little bit early, but yeah, between after 8:30, because I like to see that there's an economic data release at 8:30 that sometimes screws with us.
Yeah.
So right after 8:30, and then you'll see that, there's these time frames, 8:30 to around 9:15. It's a whole world in itself. 9:15 and 9:30, you're getting ready for the open. I don't like to be in a position unless I'm really doing well with it. 9:30, then I'll teach you a little bit about the fade. And then, between let's call it 9:35 and 11:30, that's our time to shine. And again, to Spencer's point, that's our time to shine. And most of the trades happen then. But in this market right now, in this environment, it has been a nonstop extravaganza. But yeah,
And then it's not just you. Then there's the other people in the room trade later. You have other guys that pop into the room and share their screen throughout the day. So the room is going. People are trading throughout the day, even
yeah,
if you, Kenny, aren't necessarily, active at noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
right. I actually went outside and got some sun today. Amazing. I stepped
Hey,
away
you're better than me. I haven't done that yet.
yeah,
So
it's beautiful out. Yeah, and what's wonderful about one of our main guys named Solid Jello, he was a member, and I've been doing this since '07. So I don't want to date myself too much, but I started doing chat rooms on AOL. so but since 2007, I've been running rooms. He was one of my original members, and now he is a VWAPian, has taken what I showed him to a whole nother degree. And watching him in action is just a whole nother show in itself. And when he shows up, it's just an added bonus. So yeah, a lot of added bonuses to what we do. And it's a great environment to be in. And again, if you felt lonely or just, lost, it's great to be around a bunch of people that are all doing the same thing. We all have the same goal.
that's it. So Kenny will be there tomorrow, as he is every day the market is
Great.
open.
I'm out tomorrow. Might be solid Jello.
Oh, wait a minute. Tomorrow, because you're going to the city. That's
Yeah,
right.
tomorrow's my one day
The
away.
one day. Tomorrow's the
My
one day.
one
That's
day
funny.
away,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I will be
yeah.
back in full force.
But he'll be back in full
Yeah,
force on Thursday. We don't forget Thursday. We have Apple earnings, Amazon earnings.
yeah.
We
It's
got Meta, Microsoft tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot happening.
gonna be
So
huge.
Join Kenny in his one-man mission to take over the world with VWAP. Hitthebid.com. Again, the link is in the chat on YouTube. I'll make sure it's pinned. It is also in the description. If you're watching us on the site, just scroll down and you can check out right then and there. It is that easy. 10% off a monthly, 10% off a quarterly, 15% off an annual. This offer will not last forever. I promise you that. And now they're with the volatility. I mean, as much as Kenny would probably love that, wouldn't you?
I do.
The VIX, as we just saw, the VIX just went from 60 to 30, right? So,
Yeah.
it's already coming in. So the volatility won't last forever. Earnings season will not last forever, but it's here now. So why not take advantage of it while it is? Kenny, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Man, awesome.
And good luck, and keep on crushing it.
All right. And if it's quiet in the room tomorrow, be not afraid. I will give you some trades tonight. Again, there'll be some stuff posted. I'm always trying to help. So yeah. And if tomorrow we have a slow day, good. I'll see you on Thursday.
All right.
Arkansas, we go. All right, brothers.
Adios.
Later. See ya.